If you remember all of the Halliburton stuff that we heard under Bush, when a country is destabilized and goes to hell in a handbasket, it is a chance for people to do all kinds of things, especially if they partner with the new people. So we made partner of the new president. Now, Halliburton, remember that? Left cared about that. Halliburton. The media was all over George W. Bush. Corruption. Why have you not heard anything about what I'm going to show you? So in February 2014, this becomes the new president. Total upheaval. They have no money. They're completely broke. And here comes the United States of America. In March of that year, President Obama says, we're from the United States government, and we're here to help. So he decides, you know who you need? You know who you can need, because you're very corrupt. This is a very corrupt place, and it is. And we're going to help you, and we got lots of money. We can print it, whatever we want. So we got lots of money, but we've done this before, and we did it with TARP, and we spent all kinds of money. But we wanted to make sure that all of that reinvestment in America was clean, no corruption. And so we put Joe Biden in charge. So Joe is going to be the new point man in Ukraine. Okay, so then Joe, in March of that year, a month later, he has a quick little meeting because his son just started a new business. I love this. He started a new business, and he was going to be an investment banker, right? Investment guy. And they were going to do all this investment funds, and it was going to be fantastic. He has no experience in that. He partners with John Kerry's son, and this guy, Devon Archer. This guy is John Kerry's, is his financial guy. I spent 30 minutes at a chalkboard just talking about this scandal. You can find it at YouTube. You can find it at blazetv.com. It is Joe Biden's scandal in Ukraine, okay? So he meets with Devon Archer. I'm going to give you this real quick. He meets with Devon Archer. Nothing to do with Ukraine. And then in April, he flies to Ukraine. And guess what? So does he. And in May of that year, he is made a board member of a gas company called Burisma. And guess who else is made on the board member? Hunter Biden. It is nice, it is cute, and nothing to see here, folks. Like I said, you can get more on that story. But this is pretty much the Biden story. It happens all here. You'll see it a little bit on the timeline, but it's very small. Here's where it gets good. Because this poor country is so corrupt, Barack Obama says, guys, we want to give you some money. But I gotta tell you, we're gonna have to watch over it. Now, let me show you how much money we're talking about. Riding in on the white horse to save the day with all kinds of U.S. aid to Ukraine, it included a $1 billion sovereign loan guarantee, $320 million in general assistance, $118 million in equipment training for their security forces, $20 million for new law enforcement reform, and a fleet of advisors in banking and politics and energy and media and human rights. So they do that in May. You give them all kinds of money. And then because they're so corrupt, we mandate to this corrupt country that they start a national Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, because we can't trust the guys in the masks. A National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. It's fantastic. And you know who their partner is? Us, of course. We're not corrupt at all. So the guy who was tapped to be the first director of the Bureau is this guy, Artem, how do you say his name? Sitnik. Okay? He's the first director. And what's great is because he is now in charge of anti-corruption, he now has a direct line to the administration to talk about anything the Ukrainians might dig up, okay? Now, we get here. We get now to this place where we are dumping all of that aid in, but we're watching over it because we're responsible. And we were becoming a giant piggy bank. But we made some mistakes early on. Well, first, do you remember Burisma? Burisma was run by this guy. This guy is so corrupt that he couldn't come to the United States. He was never to be granted a visa to come to the United States because he's an oligarch. He not only runs Burisma, but he also has a bank. Whoa. So this guy gets the money for Burisma, $1.8 billion. It's put into his bank. I mean, who wouldn't put $1.8 billion in an oligarch, corrupt guy who can't come into the United States? He's so corrupt. Who wouldn't put it in that, right? Oopsie. It's like Monopoly. Bank made a banking error. Lost $1.8 billion. Where did it go? Well, he certainly didn't have anything to do with it because somehow or another, he at the same time is given a visa to come to the United States. He's not a bad guy anymore. Woo! Wow. Take a moment just to look at that for a second. Okay. Now, June of 2015, coming down the escalator at Trump Tower is Donald Trump. And he's like, "Make America great again." Got it? This is a big day, June 15th. By late 2015, we are the Ukrainian piggy bank. We are giving them all kinds of money, but we're also helping them with advisors. Oh, yes, we are. We are helping them with Greg Craig, the former Obama White House counsel. We have Tad Devine, chief strategist for Bernie Sanders, and Tony Podesta, brother to John Podesta. We also have Mark Penn, the chief strategist for Hillary Clinton. John Alazone, Obama campaign pollster. Another guy, John, the Obama campaign lead pollster. Oh my gosh, this is fantastic. When you need help, buddy, all you have to do is phone a friend because all of these people are now working in Ukraine for you. You are our man. I cannot stress enough that the climate in Ukraine is all corrupt at this point. This is the climate that the Russia investigation begins in. Not the official investigation led by Robert Mueller. No. The unofficial investigation launched by none other than the DNC. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Back in the U.S. in late 2015, while all of this is going on, the Democratic Party decides they're going to hire Alexandra Chalupa. Taco Bell, I apologize. The only person that could make a chalupa into a bad thing is her. Alexandra Chalupa, she's the daughter of a Ukrainian immigrant, and she began right away after she was hired doing opposition research on Donald Trump. Now remember, late 2015, June, he's coming down the escalator. The Democrats go right to work in Ukraine to find out dirt. Wow, do they have a little machine built there? Or how are they digging up dirt? Why would they do this in Ukraine? Here are the documents I want to show you that shows that, yes, she did indeed work. This is from opensecrets.org, that she did work for the DNC, and they paid her $71,918. There you see it in the monitor. All right? That's just for her work during the 2016 election. But her work with the DNC goes all the way back to 2004. Now, in January 2016, she starts to investigate. And Chalupa approaches an official at the DNC and says, regarding Donald Trump's campaign, I just feel that there's a Russia connection. Oh, you feel that? Wow. How the heck did you feel that? This is in January 2016. At that time, there was nothing out on Manafort, and Manafort wasn't even working for Donald Trump. There was no Steele dossier. George Papadopoulos wasn't on the campaign yet. There was no FISA request, even for Carter Page at this point. So she just, I don't know, maybe she had a Ouija board. Trump, R-U-S, I don't know. Could be Russia, I don't know. But I have this feeling. Wow. So she goes to work and she concentrates most of her corruption on, yes, who else? Paul Manafort. She wants to find out all about Paul Manafort. Now, Paul Manafort is somebody that I talked about during the election. I thought he was clearly dirty, okay? However, he was working with the now exited, the guy, remember the guy on the floor? He was trying to, can you grab that for me? He was trying to help this guy get elected. Remember, Obama had this guy. This guy had all of these people right at the other end of the phone. Manafort was trying to get this guy to go back to the election. Interesting enough, all of her energy was focused on Manafort and not the partners that were trying to get this guy elected. Who was trying to get him? No, him too, right? Who else was working on this? We have, oh yeah, here it is. Tad Devine and Tony Podesta. Now that's weird because they were working on the same thing. And they were in the same bed. And what's really crazy is she only wanted to focus on him. Nothing here. Now, the same month that Chalupa was telling the DNC that there was a Russia connection between Manafort and Trump, the Obama White House summoned some people. In fact, what they did is the White House, Obama gave a personal information to the prosecutors in Ukraine. Remember the National Anti-Corruption Bureau? Those guys and like their attorney general, their regular police force, if you will, their national police force, was summoned to the White House. And Obama said, what we're going to do is we're going to build cooperation with Ukraine. Your Anti-Corruption Bureau, which is fantastic, headed by this guy. Fantastic. Now, according to a political official at the Ukrainian embassy, the meeting immediately turned to two main issues: Biden and his son, and a case tied to Paul Manafort. You can probably guess which one they didn't investigate and which one they did. The deputy head of the Ukrainian Prosecutor General's office said that upon returning back home from the Obama administration meeting in Washington, there was, quote, a clear message about helping the Americans. Regarding the Manafort case, he said, and I quote, yeah, there was a lot of talking about needing help, and then the ledger just appeared in public. What ledger? What are you talking about? I'll get back to that in a second. So, he brings him to the White House. They're concentrating on Paul Manafort. And remember, the White House also, according to sources that were there for this meeting, they also said they were being pressured not to look in to this. But remember, whoopsie, we're not talking about Joe Biden. I don't care what he did. What happened to my and your $1.8 billion? Why did you put it into this bank run by this guy who was totally corrupt, and then who said, he's not so bad, let him into America? After he took or lost, where did I put that $1.8 billion? Must have left it in his other jacket. We don't want to talk about that? You know, it's funny because one of the things they're saying is that Donald Trump pressured them to look in. What these guys are doing is they're pressuring them not to look at this. But now you've heard the story. Biden, force the removal